And now back to the Trump presidency and the big news out of Washington, D.C., the release of the controversial GOP memo on the handling of the Russia investigation and specifically what it means for Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein. Take a listen to the president's response when asked about it today.
Hire Rosenstein. Do you still have confidence in him after reading the memo?
You figure that one out.
CBS News White House and Senior Affairs Correspondent Margaret Brennan joins us now live from Washington, D.C. Margaret, good to see you. Thank you for joining us.
Good to be with you.
So where do things now stand with Rod Rosenstein? Do you think that he's going to be fired following the release of today's memo?
Well, after the president gave that very Trumpian answer, we'll see, and you figure it out, when he was asked if he had confidence in his deputy attorney general, who we should point out was a Trump administration appointee, White House officials quickly did issue a comment saying there's no plan or discussion about firing him. Of course, this all comes down to the president himself, not the officials around him necessarily. So the reason the question is being asked about the fate of Rod Rosenstein is because he was named in this memo that was put together by Republicans who sit on the House Intelligence Committee, and the disclosure of his name and the disclosure that he helped reauthorize the surveillance of a Trump campaign aide who was accused and suspected, I should say, of being recruited by Russian agents could potentially make him a target. That's speculative at this point, though, because, of course, the White House is saying they don't plan to fire him. But it puts him and it puts his boss, Jeff Sessions, already in an awkward position with the president. It puts the FBI director in one as well, because the FBI director strongly advised against releasing this memo, which has been put together by political operatives. Democrats say their version of events hasn't been released, so we're only seeing an incomplete picture.
Okay, so things move so quickly these days in Washington, hard to project anything really, but what do you think this memo means going forward for the Mueller investigation as a whole?
Well, it may not mean much, to be very honest with you, other than in the court of public opinion. And perhaps winning the news cycle is part of strategy here because, of course, it's got all of us talking about this and raising questions about what the White House claims is all political bias that is motivating this probe and this ongoing investigation, and claiming and casting aspersions on those at the FBI that perhaps law enforcement was biased in what they did, or that they didn't go through the process properly when applying for this warrant that authorized surveillance. But of course, this disclosure also raises further questions that may actually lend some credence, some would argue, to the special counsel's probe, because it reveals that not just one but two members of the Trump campaign were under surveillance because of these counterintelligence concerns and contacts with Russia, and they go back for some time. So this memo may not have the impact that could be politically helpful, which is what the president had initially thought in saying that the public should know this, and that he says there are deep concerns about what's going on at the FBI.
A very busy day in Washington, D.C. Margaret Brennan, thank you for joining us. And join Margaret for Face the Nation on Sunday at 10:30, only right here on CBS 4. And then stick around for Facing South Florida with Jim DeFeedy. Jim takes a closer look at Miami-Dade's policy of deporting prisoners and what it costs taxpayers. That's Sunday at 11:30, only right here on CBS 4.